guys, welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at Tyler's bullshit.
What's on me, man? I was surprised to learn that this film was made with things the directors hated. Body humor, acapella music, the human condition, and so on. This is one of my favorite movies, and the thought that there's an ounce of hate in this movie is baffling to me. When I make something, whether that be a new video or whatnot, I want the best of the best, right? Look, it won at Sundance, so it did something right. It moved people. But I want the things I love to drive me and be present in the things I make. It's nice that you want that. I mean, who wouldn't? But maybe it's not what you need. In an interview with Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, there's a lot of Dans in this, geez. One of the Daniel directors admitted that if they made a film with things that they hated, then they had to make this the best possible version of this thing in order for them to not hate it. Taking something broken, in a sense, and making it work. Allowing your work and abilities to shine through rather than your materials. Taking something broken and making it work, the White Stripes have been preaching that for years, since 1997. Limitations breed creativity, and that can be proven by how the White Stripes play, write, and acquire their instruments. Just two able-bodied people and a successful rock band. To bring such a massive sound when it's just two people. Jack's vocals and guitar combined with Meg's primitive drumming is so explosive and in your face. Meg White has such a style to her drumming, and I will go on record to say Cold Cold Night is one of my top 5 White Stripes songs. Let's talk about Jack White's guitar for a second. Jack fought with this guitar more than he played it seems. I mean, every claim about the guitar that came out of Jack's mouth was just him bashing it. Hollow plastic, the neck pickup didn't work. Jack made comments about the work it takes to get this guitar to play for him. In a way, though, Jack liked that. Quote, "The treble pickup has an amazing bite. It's work to play it, but I like it." Why? It's work to play it, but I like that. He's in a successful rock band, why not just upgrade the instrument? Earlier, I mentioned taking something broken and making it work. The work to make this hardly working guitar play for Jack adds to the music of the White Stripes. Jack needed this for the band, extracting and pulling as much raw human emotion from the artist into their work, from them finding a way to make it work. Finding your voice, by means of adapting with what you have. Through limitations, you find your voice. Using this tool called adapting, you can overcome any obstacles in your path. People like the Daniels and the White Stripes like the marks left behind by the path of destruction and resilient energy that makes its way into their art. I think it's a big reason why I like punk so much, the resilience with working with almost nothing. Take a look at this album. How much prep do you think went into this? Every song was written the day of recording. The Stooges wrote bangers out of nothing. Following this path of a resourceful person using something usable as a tool, Jack could show the world a specific emotion or message in the wake of all those workarounds, aggressive pick attacks, and the weight of all those guitar limitations. They're present and can be heard in the White Stripes music. So the reason I made this video is because I was curious about my favorite creators. They all seem to get it and get what they're good at. This confidence in their ability might have something to do with the struggles they faced along the way. I want to show you examples of these struggles and what happens when you persevere. I figure we just start off easy. Just state your name and something only the real Cade would actually know.
Oh. Like a self-proving thing.
Yeah, you know, bank information.
The bank account you want to rob is 189.
Oh, I think single
cut. Yeah, my name's Cade. I make YouTube videos. I wasn't super popular in high school despite my immense YouTube fame.
That is something only the real Cade would know.
Shocked many with that.
Me and Cade, we used to work together, and he would take time off work to follow his dream. He told me he wanted to take time off work to follow this passion, and it's paid off, obviously. When finding a solution to the problem and finding one that sticks, you feel more sure of that answer. And when saying this in relation to something as subjective as art, sounds silly, when in that case, any answer would do to just any other person. But no, this answer you found all on your own feels right to you because you made the solution. Could you tell me any creative workarounds that you're like, oh man, I can't believe I'm so clever. I figured out this solution to the problem so easily, and now I can continue forward with what I was doing. Do you have any stories like that?
I guess I finally stopped being lazy one day and made keyboard shortcuts for my editing. Big time save there.
Learning the keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah. It's crazy how game-changing that can be.
Now you might be thinking, how am I to use this knowledge you've given me? And what's the point of this video? So you're telling me to do things the hard way all the time so that way everything's good. The hard way is scary, unreliable, and above all hard. That doesn't sound meaningful or appealing to me at all. Clicks off video. No. I'm not telling you to do something the hard way every single time given the option. What I am saying is that it doesn't hurt to challenge yourself every once in a while and see what you're capable of. Again, when you want the best of your abilities to shine through rather than the quality of your materials. Listen, This is just another love letter video for some people I look up to and some of my favorite carefully curated pieces of content, with some examples sprinkled in that might help some people channel this adaptive energy in their own creative process, or show everybody that it's okay to face uncertainty. It's the same reason why I don't backlog videos. I make them up as I go, and I put my trust in the process, and it's been working for me so far. It's how I made my Sam and Max video, and that's the most viewed video on my channel. Thank you so much, by the way. 15,000 views, I cannot even believe. Doing this, not backlogging, in combination with the limitations of iMovie, makes it challenging at times to make the content I want. But through these struggles and feelings of frustration, I get an arguably better version of the product. Look at old video game box art. Due to the limitations of pixel graphics at the time, game developers, publishers, or whoever's in charge of this, had to get creative with their box art because that art was gonna sell their game. We said goodbye to great-looking box art when we got visually stunning 5K graphics, and getting a VR headset was easier than ever. We are left with generic guy holding a weapon box art and unfinished games in the year 2023. Limitations breed creativity. Let's take a look at another example that places the actual viewer in this creative exercise of adapting. Condemned: Criminal Origins, a psycho-horror game made in 2005 that takes place in the fictional city of Metro, a place where your mind tends to wander off in a visually...
Thomas, I don't got all day here. Let's get a move on.
And now you're in sync with the game's rhythm. The world, it's gritty and it's harsh. For a game made in 2005, suspend your disbelief. It's pretty scary. So I'm not gonna talk about how challenging development was for this game. Nope. Like I said, this game is going to put the viewer in the driver's seat now. What I want to look at instead is the creative ways the game forces you to defend yourself. A little into the game, you have to turn the power back on to this building. A fuse box blows up in your face and you drop your gun. During the commotion, oh, now a literal serial killer has your gun. Now what? Well, I don't know about you, but this pipe looks pretty useful to me. So does this bigger pipe, and so does this fire axe. So does this paper cutter machete, and the butt of your gun. Limitations, creativity. Faced with a challenge once thought defenseless towards, now you've just been given a tool to help you. I guess my next question would be, when did you find your voice? I heard you come up with stories for your videos. I don't know where this voice comes from, like the creative side of you. I just never took you as a creative storyteller. I just didn't know what made you find that voice.
I guess almost born out of necessity.
Okay, you want to elaborate on that?
Well, so there's a lot of ways to make something entertaining. And it can either be by visuals, jokes, or sound effects, whatever, trying to find a hybrid between them that like works and makes sense. For me, I mean, it was, again, a lot of trial and error. That's all any YouTube thing is ever.
Comedic sense, I think you're very creative in that sense. You never fail to make me laugh. Like every time I watch your videos or every time we, hang out in person.
It's one of those things where like you kind of just learn how to do it a little bit better. Your job then performs better. And I mean, storytelling's just a skill. It's not like you just are born with it and then you're stuck. You will only ever be able to tell a story this good.
Adapting is one of the best skills anyone can have, not just for a musician or director, but for the average person as well. Benefit from learning that sometimes you gotta do things in life the hard way, and you can overcome it. Through adapting, you find individuality, and I think that's what we all really want. Having and knowing you have a style and want to show it to the world. To convey a very dear but specific emotion to others that you feel very moved by. Or just even knowing who you really are deep down. The sense of individuality is the true self coming out to speak. I know I pulled from a lot of things, but I admire all these creative minds. By showing examples of people and media that I admire, using this tool of adapting to express every ounce of human emotion that people expend into their work, and how much their work and message means to them. Change is always inevitable, especially when you least expect it. It's good to have this skill of adapting, not just in a constantly changing industry, mind you, but with everyday life as well. Even doing something the hard way could be something as simple as starting a project.
It's one of the biggest pieces of advice I've got if you want to do anything creative is to start doing something creative.
That's honestly the hardest part, is just starting.
Granted, this, took me 2 years. So whenever a kid tells you their dream of what they want to do, and then you go, that's good, champ. That happened for a while. And, since I'm 20 years old, was pretty annoying. But I mean, people didn't understand what it was. And
I can imagine that frustration, but I can only imagine how you feel right now. You tell those people, I said I was going to do this, and look at me now.
Yeah, I've received a few apologies.
That's gotta be an amazing feeling too.
One of my friends cried when they found out how much I made, and were like, wow, I'm so sorry that I ever doubted any of this.
Yeah, man.
That's insane what you're doing. I was like, well, me. It's essentially ripping the bandage off, and then, you know, the next video was easier to make because I'd now experienced it myself, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, that one was just get my foot in the door, figure out what I'm doing, don't be a big old doofus.
Right, yeah. I mean, in the beginning of this interview, I admitted I didn't want to be a doofus. It's a shared fear.
I mean, I think about the fact that if I would have started like 2 years earlier, like how much better off I could be. And the only reason I didn't start, you know, 2 years earlier was because I was afraid of like judgment.
I feel like that's everyone's response too. They wish they started earlier and stopped pretty much living for other people's happiness. What I'm driving home is the creative process has so much unpredictability in it. It's just nice to have that sense of adaptability to work with those problems. Maybe working around those problems, your inner voice comes out, like your true self. Just find it very interesting. Everything I've found and researched. Everything you've been saying, like point for point, is like what everyone goes through. Working with very little and seeing a lot of success out of it. These are my examples. These are my idols. I love Swiss Army Man. Have a good day.